Live. Hello, I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman from ConnectedForReal. And today, Rena Ariel is with us, and she's going to tell us her life story and her connection with Mikdash and Har Habayit and everything like that. So, Rena, introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're all about.
Okay, Batzion, first of all, thanks for inviting me. And I just want to share that we first met, I think, on Har Habayit itself, right? When both of us went up. I usually go once a month. I try to go on Rosh Chodesh in honor of my daughter, Hallel. She was murdered 4.5 years ago when she was 13 and a half. And we try to do something that keeps her memory alive and could do some good things. And one of the things we did out of many is to go up every Rosh Chodesh or like next to Rosh Chodesh with a group of women and just say to God, we're coming back home and, we can't, no one's going to win us. And when we enter, the only gate that the Jews are, that could enter today, this one gate, it used to be called the Mugrabim gate. We changed it 4.5 years ago to Hallel's gate. Everyone asks, is it official? And we say it's not.
I actually remember watching the live when you guys did it. And for me, it feels official because you really made it official. You went and, put it up on the internet and really made it, in my opinion, official. Like, I really feel like completely Hallel's gate.
We tried. The truth is, I tried doing it like the legal procedure of going to Jerusalem Hall and trying to do it, but nobody even, answered me. And so I said, some things are official when we, the people, make them official. And when a Jew comes up and he doesn't go up to the Mugrabim gate, because what's Mugrabim today, but he goes up to Hallel's gate, he's part of something big. But maybe, but I'll start saying that my name is Rena Ariel, right? I live in Kiryat Arba with, I have 3 girls, Hallel, that's gone 4.5 years ago, Shira, that was just Beth Mitzvah a year ago, and Kana, that's 8.5, and I'm married to a Kohen, and I myself, my father was a Kohen, and I'm married to a Kohen, so we have connections to this whole wide story of Beit HaMikdash and Har Habayit, and it's interesting. And just to say another interesting thing that I think we never spoke about it, that 20 years ago when we started this whole group thing of Nashim Leman HaMikdash, Women for Beit HaMikdash, it was a project of 4 sisters. We're 4 sisters, and till this day, 20 years after, we're 4 of us, very, very strong in this whole thing. Each one does something else. But it's like a family project.
That's amazing. I never met your sister, but I saw her on a lot of classes on Zoom.
Which one? We're 4 sisters.
Tzipora?
Right, you're talking about Tzipora.
So I don't know who the other 2 are. Maybe I know them and I just don't recognize that you're sisters because, but that's really nice. So 20 years ago, you started this project, Women for Beit HaMikdash. Why did you start it then? What motivated you, and what, how did you know what to do?
The truth is we didn't. The actual first meeting was one day my sister Tzipora comes and says, listen, I met this woman and she's thinking of Beit HaMikdash. Let's meet her. Let's think, what could we do? And my sister met this woman and they started having a first meeting, and then we joined. And sooner or later, we found ourselves establishing a movement and trying to think, what could we do? And then 20 years ago, Har Habayit was closed, and just that time, and the whole idea of coming up and walking on Temple Mount and doing something active seemed so far. It was like speaking about the moon. But the feeling was, especially ours, like my family made Aliyah in the 70s. Just this last summer, we celebrated 50 years of us being in Israel. And it was like, all the American Jewry are very proactive. Like, people came to Israel because they decided to and they wanted to, and the feeling was we have to be proactive to do a change and not only wait that something's going to happen. And the feeling is, okay, so what is the goal of our generation? Like, my parents came to Israel, right? My husband's parents were the pioneers that built the country, but what's our destiny? I don't have any tent to put on any mountain, and the feeling is we have to do something new, and the idea of thinking in a different mood, that there is a Jewish center called Beit HaMikdash that's now empty and destroyed, and we could do something there. And I think slowly thoughts were established into actions. And it's interesting that 20 years ago we couldn't go up. So one of the things we did was basically lectures and groups, and collecting gold from women. We gave it to Machon HaMikdash, the Temple Institute, to build instruments for Beit HaMikdash. So we used to meet women, and let's say somebody said, oh yeah, I have a ring, and I have an earring, and one fell, so I only have one. I could donate it. And we used to collect gold. That was like the first thing we used to do 20 years ago.
Wow. So I only met you recently. It hasn't been 20 years. So,
Right.
For me, this is a slow progression of getting to learn more and understand more. But, I think I and a lot of my peers grew up believing that you're not allowed to go to Har Habayit. You're not allowed to step foot over the Mugrovi gate. That's just something that we grew up on. And the only reason how I got to going up and even meeting you was the lectures that were coming to our yeshuv. So we used to have once a month a lecture. I think it was part of Neshot HaMikdash. Every time we learned something different that had to do with the Mikdash. And one time we had Rabbanit Edith, and he came and gave all the halachot. And then I was like, whoa, if I would sit down and really learn it, it really was mind blowing. And that's what, I guess, it started the seed. I still at that point wasn't 100% sure. It took me a little bit more time. Also, my husband goes, he's been going for years, but I just as a woman that it was a thing, So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that movement is sort of becoming more, I guess, normalizing going up to Har Habayit?
Right. It's interesting that, first of all, it took a while till the, Har Habayit opened, and the ideas that we as Jews, I'm not even saying women or men, could go up, because we know where yes and we know where no, and we know what could we do. And first of all, we have to do something, because in all the other fields, like if you want to learn medicine, you'll go to medicine school. If you want to get a driver's license, you'll take driving lessons. If you want to diet, you'll diet. So in all the fields, we're very active. And something was like one field that was shut down and was like, okay, let's not deal about it. And then when we started learning, we saw something very interesting, that all the Torah, like all the parshiot and all the holidays and all the brachas and the prayers, everything has inside Beit HaMikdash. Like, yes. And you can't just say, okay, it's something.
Yeah, all of life revolves around Beit HaMikdash.
Everything, and like you can't say, okay, this is a holiday that doesn't have anything to do with Beit HaMikdash. I remember like 10 years ago, I was working with somebody, and we were sitting like at work like 2 days before Seder night, and I told her we had this thing of Korban Pesach, where we, try to do like an example and to see what it is. And she tells me, do you really believe there's going to be Korban Pesach? And like I told her, another 2 nights we're sitting in the Seder, and half the Seder has to do with Korban Pesach. Do you really not believe in it? And it was a conflict. And so first, I think the first thing was, let's understand and not be afraid of asking questions. And we always do. I think there are more questions today than answers, but the first thing is, let's ask questions. I took somebody in my car a couple days ago, and she's Orthodox, and she's, with it, and she's from, and she told me, I don't really need Beit HaMikdash, like I don't miss it. And I think it's something to deal with. Let's learn, what are we missing? I tell like anywhere and everybody that wants to hear a lesson, a lecture, a talk about it, let's open up the mind that there is something unknown to us that exist. And I guess God doesn't want it to be hidden. Otherwise, it would be so much involved in the Jewish tradition. So this was the first thing. The second thing we understood, we have to do an actual change, not only thinking and not only learning, but either collecting gold or taking action and doing things, or going up to Har Habayit, or doing things. And as soon as we started becoming proactive, a lot of interesting questions started coming up that for years nobody dealt with. Like, okay, could I nurse on Har Habayit? Could I go to the bathroom on Har Habayit? What bracha do I do? Could I eat? Could I drink? How to relate to Har Habayit? What do I do when I come down? A lot of questions about Tuman Tara. This whole thing opened up. It's like opening up a new topic and not being afraid of just asking the questions.
Yeah. And, one of the first things is, besides the fact that it's usher or not allowed. So if you go up there, how do you prepare? What do you have to do? And so one of the most amazing things is, for me, for example, is I'm very open with my kids, and I'm going to mikveh the night before, and that I need to be sure in order to go up. It just feels like the whole process of preparation, there's something so special about it. It's, like, I don't know who said it, but somebody said in one of the groups that if you had to go meet a big, somebody, you would prepare. You would get all
in our group
up and ready or whatever it was. You would take a bath. You wouldn't just go show up, whatever it is. So there's something so special about that preparation, being able to come. And I brought 3 of my girls so far. It started with my oldest. We went up for her bat mitzvah. And we have a very special picture. You're in it.
I remember.
Yeah, and recently my second daughter is turning bat mitzvah in a month. So we went up 2 months ago, I think. And this time I was planning on just going by myself. Then a friend decided to join. And then my daughter was anyway off school because Corona. So she ended up joining. And so now my 3 girls have had the merit to go up and really visit and walk around. It's just been interesting, it's really an experience, and I highly recommend it. Now, here's what happens. Sometimes people will go, and I see this also, by the way, in anything, not only Har Habayit, also you see it a lot in the Kotel, where people are yearning and davening, until I get to Yerushalayim and it's going to be so special. And then they get there and they have this drop of like, okay, now what? I don't feel anything. I'm not, there's something missing. It's not sparkly, it's like when you find your husband and you're like, okay, what now? Like, I don't feel the love, it feels like that. There's something that is a little bit disappointing. I know for me, the first reaction when I went up was, oh my gosh, this is huge. It just felt like you walk into a little tiny cube and you suddenly realize it is not a tiny cube at all. It's humongous. So how do you react to those first reactions that people have?
I'll answer. Just want to say something about the bat mitzvah that you mentioned. I think it's something new that's happening like in the last year or two, that mothers bring their bat mitzvah daughters to Har Habayit. I did it with Hallel before she was murdered, and it's more and more something common. Now, I just want to say that in order to help mothers and daughters, my sister Tzipora and I build up a whole program for mothers and daughters. Either a tour that we do in Jerusalem about mothers and daughters in Beit HaMikdash, and then we share the story, or like a private session where a mother and her bat mitzvah daughter could come and meet one of us and like sit down for an hour with discussing this thing of Beit HaMikdash, and then going up together as a private tour, going up. And another interesting we've just done a few years ago is the book. You could see Pirkei Hallel. We have, of course, in Hebrew and in English, and one chapter is about Beit HaMikdash, just to make it something that mothers and daughters could talk about during the bat mitzvah year. Now, we know that sometimes it could be like a hard topic, dealing with like a teenager about Beit HaMikdash. So we have a whole chapter opening up the question, and full of pictures and telling the mother and daughter, don't be afraid of talking about it during the bat mitzvah year and coming up to Har Habayit and just opening up your mind, because it's something that it's here. This is one thing. The second thing is
By the
about
way, amazing book, highly recommended. I'm just telling you all, we have the Hebrew version. We got the Hebrew version 2 years ago when my daughter was bat mitzvah, and after we went up to Har Habayit with Rina, then we ordered the book for, you know, a whole bunch of friends from the class ordered as a group, and we looked through the book, and some of the illustrations really look like you.
The first thing is comics about Hallel, and because it's in Pirkei Hallel, but the last chapter is, you know, about Beit HaMikdash and all these things. Just to say that our dream is that every bat mitzvah girl in Israel and abroad should go over the book and understand what's going on and connect. This is a way of connecting Jews all over and not being afraid of connecting. And could be in memory of Hallel. Just to answer the second question about feeling, it happens to all of us. Like I tell women that come for the first time, don't come with expectations. Like I'm coming and it's going to be wow, I'm going to cry. No, you're coming in humble before God, trembling before God, and it could be nothing. You could either cry or just feel nothing, or be curious, or be. But you're coming up. We're coming and coming home, and it's like people say, what's the difference between like an Orthodox shul and a Reform shul? An Orthodox shul could be sometimes small and noisy and people talking, because you come every day, 3 times a day. It's coming home. Sometimes when you come to a Reform shul, it's nicer because you come once a week. So we want to feel that Har Habayit is home. And home, sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel less, sometimes you come home and you just want to go to sleep. Not to be afraid of it. God wants us there, even if we don't always feel. It's not about us, it's about Him.
So here we have a question. Where can we get the book? So do you have a place where you sell the book online, or do they have to order it?
We have. I think the best thing is through me directly. I could just give you my phone number, and you could just, text me, and then it's the easiest way. It's 0547 543 051. Maybe we could put it on after somehow. And yeah.
That was enough numbers, I guess. So what were the other questions that people came up with? Do you guys have any questions? Let's just take a moment. Oh, I love this. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Lilach. My mother is here. My father-in-law is here. This is really fun. I want to know from you guys, if you have any questions for Rina, please send them now. We're going to address all of them. Try. And if you have any comments or anything like that, we are here for this. So please feel free to ask anything in the comments, and we get them right away. So we'll be able to answer them.
I can't see it, so you'll just have to, speak.
I will tell you about it. So I want to tell a little bit about my process of how I went from, one side to the other, because I think it's really interesting for a lot of people. We always grew up on the fact that it's usher and you don't go up because you don't know. We just don't know. We don't know. So when you don't know, you don't know. And that's just how it is. And, for that, the easiest answer is, okay, so find out. So learn. Like, you don't just say, I don't know, so I don't do. Like, what? Do you say that about Shabbos? Like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I guess I'm not going to do it. Or do you say that about kosher? Like, we have a responsibility to learn. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to learn, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to learn, And so slowly I was learning and getting more into it. And it's interesting. 1 second. Please go get dressed. Thank you. Thank God. So it's interesting how the more you learn, the more you understand, the more you can ask questions. And so you're getting deeper and deeper into it. And what blew my mind really is the amount of information that we don't know. There's maps with exactly what we don't know. We know everything. We know so much. And all this illusion of we just don't know felt almost like it blew up in my face. It was like, okay, we do know. So what next? So then it became a political thing. If you go up, then it means something about you. It means something, whatever. I don't know. It was sort of like a tag, like, oh, but it will make you maybe not okay or questionable, or I don't know. And so it just became all these the process of finding yourself and really being like, but if this is truth, then what am I hiding from? I'm afraid that people are going to think of me something like, okay, this is what I do. And the first time we went up, I actually remember when they took the picture, I sort of turned to the side or something. I remember I didn't want to be so front and center. I was scared of what will people say when they see that picture online or something, if they recognize my face. There was something uncomfortable. By the time the second time came around, I was posting about it. I was a lot more comfortable on my own skin.
Right.
I think people have to go through that, and it's okay. Another thing that happened, like I said, my husband was going for a long time, even when it was harder. The Arabs were upset and they weren't letting him go up. My husband, for Tisha B'Av, used to get all dressed up like an American, jeans and a t-shirt and a cap, and he would hold a water bottle on Tisha B'Av so that they wouldn't even think that he was religious. Because if you're walking around with water, why would you do that? It's a fast. So he would only bring his American passport and go in and show them, I'm American, my father's Jewish, but I don't know. And they would let him on, even though all the Jews were waiting to get on and would never be able to get on. He would get on with all the guys, and he would tell them how it's not nice and not fair. But he was just free to roam while everyone else who was Jewish was waiting outside. And so we always, he would come home and tell us all about it. He would also take pictures and send us, so we had a little bit of an understanding. It wasn't like we were completely clueless, but I just never saw myself as a woman going up until I started learning more, and I asked all my questions, and I just decided to go for it. But the thing that really helps is if you have a friend who's like, come on, let's go together. And the other thing that really helps is that there's a group of women, and that's what you come in. There's something so special about going as a group of women. The unity, the thing that happens when we go up, it doesn't feel like, oh, you can just pick any day and go whenever you want. I mean, you can, but it's so powerful about that experience. When did you decide to start doing that?
It's interesting because as soon as we were able to go up, we tried finding different kinds of groups. Now, it's hard for women to go up. Like, we used to get phone calls, I'm coming, and then the morning before, oh, I got my period. Oh, I think I'm getting my period. Oh, this and this. And it's so hard. It's like, you can't just jump to Har Habayit. You have to think, you have to prepare, you have to go to the mikveh. And it's like going to a king. You just don't wear your jeans and go. You have to dress up and think about it. And sometimes it doesn't work. Like, you really want to go, and then like Hashem says no. And so it was like hard to establish like steady groups of coming. But then I think after Hallel was murdered, my feeling was we have to do at least one steady Aliyah. And thank God for 4.5 years, every single month besides Corona, I didn't skip any month. Only just when Corona and we were disabled to go up, we go. And sometimes we have like, women that could come, and they come with us every month, and new women always. And it's just coming up, and it's like we're doing it. It's not always a party. It's not always, it's something steady. And I think doing something as a steady base, as a routine, is harder because it's not always wow, but it's a devotion. It's saying, we're doing it. It's like you daven every day. It's not always wow. Like some people have, my first davening, my davening at the kotel. After I gave birth, but this is like I daven every day is being steady. And this is part of the aliyot. And I just want to say that in the beginning, we tried doing like going for coffee after and having like a circle of women and sharing what's going on and having like a party, like a mitzvah suda. But then after you go up again and again, it becomes hard because like some women want to go to work and some women. So everything is a change. And I think each one has to, think with their individual, like what do I do before Aliyah, how do I prepare myself, what do I do after. I know that when I finish, I need like a half an hour just to sit with myself and Facebook it and send it and picture, like to do something to say. It's not only a small thing that I'm doing with another 20 women, but we want to spread the news so other women should think about it. And like each one should do what they could.
Yeah.
Not only small.
Yes, that's beautiful. So yeah, I try usually to go and buy them something sweet at the end, so they have
The kids.
The sweet ending, something, a co-fix or whatever, so that they feel it's sort of like an experience.
It's a fun thing. Of course, when you go with kids, we have usually like a couple times a year family aliyot, children aliyot, that are made specially for kids. And then you bring the sweets and you bring the candies and sometimes you bring a medal. And of course, when I come with my girls, we go out and we eat afterwards in the Jewish quarters because, it's fun. But when you come as women once a month, it's already a different state of, it's a different action.
Of course. So we have a couple of questions. First, you have Pauline Cooper, who's really happy to see you. And she sent her prayers and has been with you since Hallel and Hallel for years.
Wow.
I wanted you to know that. She says, when I move back, I will help too. Bezrat Hashem. We look forward to seeing you. And we have my sister. She wants to know, do you get any haters and how do you handle the naysayers?
What's a naysayer?
People who say no, nah, this isn't, all the people who are not pro.
Look, a lot of people are not pro. You're talking about Har Habayit, right? But I see it as a good sign because the worst thing is people that are indifferent. Like
Right.
if it doesn't bother you, it means nothing. As soon as you have your emotion to it and you angry, it means it's important. Now, in the last years, you see more and more rabbis that are pro and rabbis that are against. So it becomes a discussion in the Jewish world, and I think this is something that we need. Not to be indifferent, not to just say, okay, I don't care about it. This is a Jewish issue, and we want it to be a Jewish issue. And the more we think about it, and like the Jewish world is not afraid of disagreements. We're afraid of sleeping, right? Of death. We're not afraid of arguments. So something is going to happen out of it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. I love that answer. Can I just be like, yes, because it's exactly that, my husband wrote Haggadah Pesach. It is a whole Haggadah that is going to be used when we have a Korban Pesach. He was looking around. Nobody has written that. After doing all the research, he decided to write it himself. And he walks around and sells it because the bookstores closed down for Corona. So ever since we were, able to, he goes from door to door and he sells them the Haggadah. And he says, you need this. And they're like, but I don't want it. He's like, I don't care if you want it. You're going to need it. Because you said last year, and you promised your kids the next year in Jerusalem. And what's going to be next year? There's going to be a Korban Pesach, but you're not going to be ready? How could you? So there's something so beautiful about having these conversations and really bringing up the awareness.
Right.
So that was beautiful. How
and also
say that.
No, I'm saying not being afraid of learning. We all are in a process and things are changing and a lot of things, because look, 2,000 years we were in exile. So a lot of issues were just put behind, and nobody dealt with it. And now slowly, we're trying to open up a new field of, and first of all, is asking questions, not being afraid. We don't have answers for everything, but it's okay. It's okay.
Right. there's a question about how do you deal? Is there any hate from the Arabs or from the system? Like, do you feel like there is,
The Arabs, for sure. The Arabs think Har Habayit is theirs, and they think, there's a whole big thing, and we're intruders, and it's not ours, and like all kinds of crazy stuff. I say whenever we go to Har Habayit, you just have to close your eyes and imagine, Jewish Beit HaMikdash and not see the Muslim, because it's going to pass. There were years that it was worse because Raed Salah and the Islamic movement used to send buses of people to come on Har Habayit to make noise. And I think one of Hallel's Aliyah, when she was just before Bat Mitzvah, I took her, and the women were screaming, and everybody was like, death, and it was like a crazy thing. People were brought specifically to make, to be provocative and troublemakers. Now it's quiet. I think the police is also pro. Things have changed.
That's why I'm laughing, because when we came home on Wednesday last week, my daughter said she was disappointed. So my husband thought she was talking about how to feel, the feeling that she had. No, she was disappointed because no Arabs screamed at us or yelled or threw rocks. It was just so chill and so quiet. We were up there for an hour and a half. Nobody rushed us. Everything was fine. We even davened and spoke Torah and had a bit midrash, and people were saying different Torah about the parsha. Like, she was shocked. She was really disappointed. She thought there was going to be action.
It's changed. Look, I think right now,
a disappointment.
It's a big change. Look, it's up to us, because if there's a line of 30 people or 300 or 3,000 or 30,000, it'll change the whole action and spirit. And like now the problem is that the hours are limited. Like if I want to come at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I work, I can't. The hours coming at Har Habayit are very limited. Friday, it's usually closed. Many holidays of the Muslims, real holidays, invented holidays, Har Habayit is closed, and I can't walk on my own. This is one big problem. I always have to walk in a group. So the more Jews are going to come, we're going to open it up. Like a couple years ago, it was harder. Now it's easier. A couple years, ahead of us will be much more Jews. So it'll be, the things will be open again. And this is something just, for us to decide.
Yes. So let's talk technicalities. There is the, Kodesh HaKodashim, which is the place where nobody is allowed to go on. That's where, that's where the dome is right now.
Right.
And
so the whole area that's called like the higher level of Har Habayit, where the golden dome is, it's something that the Jews are forbidden to go up because, we can't. So we basically go around it. There's a special path that we go. Today, it's a good thing that any time that you come to Har Habayit when the hours are open, there always will be a madrich standing there and showing you, and you could always join a group of people that know. So like you have to come with special shoes like you wear in Yom Kippur, and you can't bring up a Siddur or a Torah. You could bring a telephone. So a telephone has everything. And it's like, we have, women have to tovel, men too. And like we always recommend somebody that's going up for the first time to speak to one of our halacha counselors and know what to do. And then you go with the group, where. More and more you could daven again from your cell phone without, men can't bring up tefillin or talit, but it's open more and more. And the changes are slowly.
Yeah.
And
I heard that people weren't allowed to bring any Shema Yisrael or any type of pictures on their necklaces. And then since you have, can you show your necklace?
I don't have it right now. I put it on before, but we have a golden necklace called Shar Hallel, and it's okay to go. I think all the women from our group have a golden necklace.
I heard ever since you brought yours, everyone else is allowed to bring theirs. So
look, I think the whole thing changed.
Yes. There's something really beautiful that is, also part of the movement. It's bringing Beth HaMikdash into our lives The necklaces and the rings. There is jewelry makers that are specializing now in gosh, and creating art from it, which is, in my opinion, so amazing.
Right?
It's amazing.
Exactly. We have friends in our group. We have someone, she's an artist. She makes jewelry out of gold and silver. And I think it's like a symbol that each woman from our group has some kind of jewelry, some kind of piece of jewelry that has to, something to do with Beit HaMikdash, a ring, earrings, a necklace, a bracelet. I myself have a necklace and a bracelet. And it's just opening a conversation. It's saying it's in front of me. It's a jewelry. It's something, I'm proud of. Yeah, this is our story. This is our weapon.
Yes, thank God. I think that, there's something so beautiful about bringing, the more awareness, because like you're saying, there's no holiday without Bet HaMikdash. There is no Parsha without Bet HaMikdash. There is nothing in Jewish life without that, core and center of the world. And the closer you are, the more you feel it, the more you can, it's almost like a hug. It's an envelopment of a presence that you can't really explain. And I went up with a friend once who said, I didn't feel anything. But then afterwards, things that she was doing started clicking, and she didn't understand why. But it just felt like it was a continuation of that, the commitment of deciding to go to mikveh and then to go to Har Habayit and the walk around and being able to really try to connect and see what happens. And even though she didn't feel anything, it changed something. And I think that's something that's really important.
I agree. Where it's a process, it's evolution, not a revolution. It's slowly. It's not something big, it's not a flood. These things are very delicate. And we need time, we need faith, to know that each Jew that comes up today to Har Habayit changes something. Like where else? I used to go up myself or 2-3 people with like 20-30 police, Arab police following us and Jewish police. And I said, where else could I feel so important? Where so many people are just like hugging me just because, but each Jew coming up in Har Habayit is important, changes. So you could feel the importance of each one. And it's a process. We just have to believe we're part of it.
Yes, it's so beautiful. So just to, sort of put it all together for people, let's give them a little bit of an understanding of what it is that is happening there. There's the Dome of the Rock, which is there right now, but Bezrat Hashem will not be there anymore very soon because we need it to, make room for more important things. That's where Kodesh HaKodashim is. Then outside of that would be where the Kohanim are allowed to go.
Right. You have the whole Beit HaMikdash. Let's think of it as a big triangle divided into pieces, into parts. And then you have the outsides where the Kohanim are. You have Ezrat Kohanim, Ezrat Israel, Ezrat Nashim. And then you have the whole outskirts of Har Habayit. That's basically the place we could be today. Okay, because even we're not purified from death because we don't have the red calf today. So there is a special place that we could go. And we do what we could, and we pray that the next time we'll come, we'll see Beit HaMikdash, or if they start building it or something. Yeah. And I think if anybody wants to learn about the actual Beit HaMikdash, we have a whole group of people that have lectures, and it could be a Zoom, it could be live, it could be whatever you want, just talking about it, opening it, English, Hebrew, whatever, sharing it, as I said, a bat mitzvah program, a whole big thing, just to help people connect and not being afraid. And of course, coming and joining Aliyah, or asking to have a special Aliyah for, I took a couple years ago a woman that had her 80th or 70th birthday, so the whole family came up to Har Habayit. That was very special for them. So like it's, people could find a way of connecting.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, so my mother here wrote a comment that our symbol is of peace and light to the world, as opposed to other countries that have, things of power, like, Nestle or lion or something like that. There's something very positive about the symbol that the Jewish people and that the mustache bring. So that's really beautiful. I think one of the best things for me was starting the year at school. We went right before Rosh Hashanah, and that was such an amazing thing. That was the best way to start the year. No questions asked. So that was one of the most special times for me, I think. So thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so you and your sisters are running Nashim Leman Mikdash.
We're part of a group. It's not ourselves. We're part of a group of Nashim Leman HaMikdash. And I said, there's, anyone that wants a lecture, a talk, a tour, bat mitzvah programs, our special thing for mothers and daughters, the book is part of the whole big thing.
They can be in touch with you and, let's say, make a group of their friends and invite
Sure.
one of your lectures. Sure. Oh, that's awesome. You should do that. Everybody listening, go get yourself some friends and make a Zoom meeting and learn about it, because it's really amazing. Even if you don't physically go up yet, you will need to do it one day. So just get ready.
Right.
Why not? You start learning now. So it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any questions before we close? And you can ask them now. Just so you know, Bezrat Hashem, next week we are going to be talking about perfectionism and how it holds us back from doing things and moving forward. We can probably continue talking with Rina now about perfectionism.
I just want to say a last thing, that our next Aliyah is going to be on Hanukkah, a Wednesday, Rosh Chodesh Tevet. We're going to meet, and anyone who wants to join us is welcome, and hopefully it's going to be a great Aliyah. So thanks.
Yes, thank you so much.
And have a good evening.
Can you repeat your phone number, because some people want to know where they can get the book?
054-7-543-051. The best thing is WhatsApp or message.
Okay, great.
So thank you, and I'll leave now, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we